All right. Well, welcome. I am super excited that you're here. I am really anxious to get started with entrepreneurship and marriage tonight. I say anxious, that's not really the right word. I'm excited. I'm excited. So I'm your co-host, your host, Kellie Frazier. A blit. Let's just start over. So I'm Kellie Frazier, and we're going to certainly wait for more people to join on the blab, but we're very, very excited that you're here. What we want to do here tonight is just answer a lot of questions that people have regarding entrepreneurship or marriage or both. Because really what we want to do is help people understand that we can have both as entrepreneurs who are married or who are thinking about marriage. We want to be able to explain that you can have an irresistible marriage whether or not you have your own business. A lot of entrepreneurs really struggle with this issue, and so we thought that it would be a great idea to just have a conversation around this topic. And I am super excited here tonight because I have a couple of people that I cannot wait to introduce you to. And I want you to also know who I am, and that is the author of the book Love Differently, Stay Married, which is why these blabs are called Love Differently Blabs. And I also have the founder of the 21 free videos that you can create the powerfully irresistible marriage that we're going to be talking about. So I also have a very wonderful person who is on board with us tonight as an interpreter for the deaf. And that's very exciting to me. Her name is Adelaide Watson, and I just want to welcome you, Adelaide. Thank you so much for being here. So I also have invited a super dynamic speaker, author, and coach. He's my guest for this evening. His name is Eiji. He's the authority genius Morishita. Eiji is author of Pure Genius and founder of the Genius Millionaire Academy. Eiji's genius is helping entrepreneurs and service professionals build profitable businesses. Thank you so much for joining me.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited about being here, and this is my first lab ever, so it's kind of cool to thank you for inviting me. And now I'm no longer a total newbie. I have my first experience, so I'm really excited.
That's right. Exactly. It's funny because I've seen a lot of newbies on Blab today. Not that I spent my entire day here, but I know that the couple Blabs that I did get on, there were a lot of people who have never even heard of Blab before. So I'm excited every time I get to invite a guest who this is their first time to be on it, because I think that Blab is one of the most powerful platforms that we can actually see in conjunction with Twitter. And as you mentioned, which I'm not familiar with, but I guess maybe they're working with Facebook too to kind of bring things together to create a platform that is just mind-boggling for people like myself and like you who want to be able to share a message that's really important to us to be able to get our passion and our purpose out there. So I'm hearing that air sound really loud, and I'm just wondering if there's any way to change that. Just
see.
There you go.
I hear it myself, but
you're hearing it too. Now I don't hear it now. So maybe it's not even on your end, AG. So okay, well, why don't you tell us why did you initially become an entrepreneur? That's a question I've actually wondered myself.
Well, let's see. Initially, I've been drawn to sales for a while. So even in high school, I was drawn. So sales and entrepreneurship. I don't know if it was, but the term Entrepreneur Magazine was of interest even when I was in high school. I loved the title. I didn't know what that actually meant, but I was always drawn to some sort of sales. And after high school, I was selling Cutco knives, and those. It's like a direct sales company, and doing that door to door with friends and family. And then I just like the ability to be able to get paid for my performance, not just hourly, but get paid better, because if I perform well, I get paid more. And so, but a lot of it comes from my family background, where my parents and my great grandparents, they're mom and pop business owners. So they started their own business. And it showed them like it's about taking personal responsibility, giving people jobs. And it's always been fascinating of just how businesses run. So I think that's what drew me, is just from my my family, of starting their own business from scratch, and then also the real key thing is having the independence to set my own schedule, to set my own income level. And so I just like having that freedom because I don't like to be boxed in. And I did work in corporate or high tech for a little while.
Excellent. Well, that's really interesting. I actually purchased a set of Cutco knives and had them forever. So
They're
I
excellent. Lifetime guarantee or so, or they're good for life.
yeah, they were fantastic knives. I say were because I think we did switch over eventually, but
Yes.
yeah. So I'm really fascinated by the fact that a lot of entrepreneurs that really get into entrepreneurial sales specifically when they first start tend to do that because their parents have exampled that in some way. Do you agree with that?
I think so. But also it's like I think either way, if your parents were blue collar workers working long hours and stuff, I think that could also be a motivation too. Saying, I think we do exactly the same or exactly the opposite of our parents, and I think it's very rarely it's in between, like they halfway do it. So, but I think it does help. It does help, but even still, running a mom and pop business is not necessarily the same as what a true entrepreneur is like someone who owns multiple businesses and buys businesses and sells businesses. So, but I think I did get that business owner mindset that I wanted to do that.
Yeah, which is excellent. I know that, you're a very, very bright man, and I am very blessed to be able to be connected with you. I learn a lot from you. So I have to ask you about your wife, because after all, we are talking about entrepreneurship and marriage tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, can you describe to us your wife without using the word love? It's a challenge. Are you up to it?
Yes. Let me see. So I have to actually think about this. But describing my wife, she's very caring. She's caring, and also she's one of my greatest coaches because she calls me on my stuff when I'm not living to my full potential. She's one of the best accountability coaches that you can ever have. I really do believe that God put us together for us to bring out the best in each other and make us aware of how we can grow. Because I think this is very common with a lot of entrepreneurs is one of her top values is safety and security, which is really challenging by being with an entrepreneur. Generally, there's the risk taker marries the safety and security person, because the risk taker likes the stability or just the groundedness of the person who's safe and secure, but also the safe and secure person likes the excitement and adventure from the risk takers. So, it's been an interesting adventure as well for that. So, but she's super nice, but she's super fiery, and I love that about her. She's very direct. And she's been a great wife and a great mom. We have 2 kids. We have a 3-year-old son, and 3-year-old daughter, and a 4-month-old son. And she's been absolutely amazing.
Well, congratulations, because you are a new daddy again for the second time. And so the question that comes to the top of my mind then is, how do you balance the family life with entrepreneurship? Now, that's always a question that people ask all the time. Yes, how do you find balance? How do you find balance? So you might as well just ask it.
Yeah. So I have a interesting viewpoint that I don't really believe in balance is the word that I look for. I look for more integration in my life, where how can I integrate? Because to me, balance means equal. And in family, and there's going to be times in your life where you're going to put more time with your family to build that quality time with your spouse, and then there are other times where you're working on a project where you might have to go sprint and work 24/7 for a short period of time to get the project deadline done. So what I would recommend regarding integration is that you want your family to be your stability and your rock. So you don't want to go, it's kind of like zigzagging, and you don't want to go too far to extremes where you don't see them for a while, for a long period of time. But you want them to be your constant, where you kind of zigzag just a little bit off the center. And then, but in your business, I think you really have to go to the extremes. You kind of go one way. Hey, we're going to finish this project, and you go all the way to one side, and then go, and then now it's like, oh, you got to work. You got all these clients. Now you got to work on fulfillment, and then you kind of do all these. So you're going more extremes in your business. But there's a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, who founded Keller Williams Real Estate, and he talks about this. It's called counterbalancing, where you could go extreme on your business, but your family and personal life is what grounds you, whether it's your family life, whether it's your personal fitness by working out that balances your emotions, as well as your spiritual life that gets you connected with God. And so I think your personal life is what really holds you grounded. But in your business, you can't play really the middle of the road. It's kind of like you got to choose to go to the left or to the right. If you stay in the middle of the road, you're going to get run over by a truck. So I think you really need to, when you decide fully. You can't half step it or do it halfway, because it rarely ever succeeds. At least in my experience, whenever I do something halfway, I don't get nearly as good of results when I'm all in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. So I think integration is by far a better way to succeed in any kind of a working relationship, whether it's in your business or in your married life. And I do teach a lot of clients about strategies in business. Like, okay, and you tell me if I'm incorrect in this, but the way I look at this is we spend hours, days, weeks, months, years sometimes creating business plans, right? Mm-hmm. But how much of that time do we create a marriage plan with? You know, and when I think about that and how important it truly is to be able to have strategies for business as well as strategies for marriage, that to me is like, again, it's like it takes away a lot of the worry. It takes away a lot of that, the discussion of balance, because as you integrate your business and your marriage strategies together, like you're saying, it creates that harmony. It creates that unity in your family and in your relationships. I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I totally agree. I think it's so needed. And it's great because I think most people who get married don't even think about creating a marriage plan or what are marriage strategies. And usually they only come up once, there's really challenge or conflict, or really when it's almost like, I love this proactive approach because, I mean, quite frankly, we didn't necessarily create a plan, but I could see how valuable it would have been, especially for the first few years, to have that plan. And I think it's part of the communication of knowing what the road ahead is and how we're going to reinvent the relationships, because I think it's like as things change, whether it's the business or whether it's you having kids or so, the plan kind of adjusts. And so having a plan and strategies, I think it's critical. I wish I knew about that when I was getting married. I mean, the one decision that's really helped me more than anything is, and I discussed this with my wife Chica, was that no matter what, we're staying together. We're going to. It's making that commitment, and it takes a. There's a saying that I share. It's like commitment is all about recommitment. Because it's there's no one person who commits just one time and they just stay committed all the way through. It's like recommitting daily or hourly or minute by minute sometimes to get there. And but making that core decision that no matter what, we're going to stay together. We're not going to bring up the D word, because there's no reason. If we're committed and until death do us part, and that we're committed to be with each other for life, there's no use of discussing that. It's focused on just how we can reconcile and how we can get back together as one. So. I can say, I mean, I went through a lot of challenges like most couples within the first few years, and we're on 8 years now, and we're in process of reinventing the relationship again, so it's like, there's someone said, I think that for any relationship, it's very helpful to reinvent the relationship at least once every 7 years, because we all grow. So sometimes we kind of grow apart. And so we kind of need to say, hey, you're here, I'm here. Let's get back together and create a new vision or plan for what's next. So I think that's, I wish I knew about having a plan and strategies early on. And I think this is almost like, it should be mandatory for everyone to at least be aware of it. Most people don't even think about having a plan. They just think, oh, I'm in that honeymoon phase. I'm in love. Everything's going to work out. And the honeymoon phase.
We did. Yeah, absolutely. And that is what most people do think. And, it's fascinating to me. Here's why I created this program. I saw so many of my entrepreneurial associates and friends start to fall apart. And not just fall apart, but have absolutely no desire to get together again. Because when an entrepreneur starts to grow, I think specifically people in the personal development industry, the coaching industry, we tend to just become absorbed in educating ourselves. And the more we educate ourselves, I think sometimes we leave our spouse in the dust. And not just our spouse, but our children sometimes too. And so that was the biggest reason why I created this program, and it's free. I mean, it's 21 videos for free, Wow. I just really believed with all my heart that this is life-changing, and I wanted as many people out there who could possibly have a desire to have that kind of a strategy or plan to go after it and have no excuse, right? So I think it's a powerful tool, but like you're saying, I mean, unless you have this thought before you get married, maybe I should create some kind of a plan for my marriage. And how many people say that? Not very many.
Yeah, it doesn't sound so romantic. It's like, here, let's plan out our marriage and let's not be spontaneous. Even though the better you plan, the more spontaneous you can be. But I think most people think, oh, that takes the romance. It's so analytical or so, but it's so needed, and wow, that's awesome. I'll be a subscriber to your course for sure, because I'm always learning, and I think it's really, I don't care how great your relationship is, it can always be better. It can always improve.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited that's so great that you created that program.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I'm happy to have you. I have anybody as a subscriber. But listen, Eiji, tell us a little bit about your Genius Academy, because I find that, first, when I first met you, as you were walking away, I remember thinking, that guy's a genius, literally. This was prior to me actually knowing what it was that you did. So when I did find out after that, I was like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about, and where are you at with that today?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Well, that was my first high-level mastermind called the Genius Millionaire Academy, and I did that from 2011 through 2000. I think we did a pivot, but how it all happened was that as I was looking for my life purpose, I didn't know what I was here on earth to do, and from 2000. Think about 2000, from 2000 to 2006, it's kind of like a searching period of what my purpose is. And God has the funny sense of humor. Had a car accident. It was a rear end accident, and it wasn't a major collision. However, it really impacted my ability to focus and to think. And I had a traumatic brain injury, and I didn't know what else to do. So I always thought if I had my mind, I can heal myself. So I just went straight into prayer, and I prayed if I ever get my mental health back, I would never take it for granted. And my prayers were answered shortly after. And then it's like, okay, how can I make best use of my mind? So then I started saying, why don't I study geniuses and how they utilize their mind? And what I realized is that, let me just turn this off. Okay. What I realized is that having a high IQ is not the only way you could be a genius. There's tons of different geniuses, and there's a Harvard study that 99.9% of all babies at age 18 months operate at a genius level. So everyone has almost 999 of every 1,000 people operate at a genius level, and it's really about finding how you could tap back into it. And so we related it to business. When you find out what makes you unique and what makes you stand out, the things that come easy for you is what you should charge the most for. And that's the crazy part about business, is that the things that are so easy, like there's things, and I'm not I'm not trying to brag or be boastful, but there's certain things that God's gifted me with, and that God's gifted each one of us with, that we could do in our sleep, that we could do almost blindfolded. Like I could do some business coaching and help people create their pricing and packages and who they should market to. I could do that with my eyes closed. Or I could be, there were a period where I was kind of under the weather and I was doing coaching calls while I was under the weather because I didn't need to be physically at 100% to do this. But it's one of the gifts that we're born with, and that we can actually get paid the most for. One of the biggest challenges is that people feel guilty. That's like, how can I get paid so well for something that comes so easy for me? And that's the secret. This is what God wants us to do. This is what we're designed to do so that we can give back. So my philosophy is, is serve those who can afford you and charge what you're worth, and give to those who can't. So the more you get paid for those who can afford you, who value your services, the more time you'll have to give and help those who can't. So you need to separate your business and your charity. And the better you do in your business, the more time and money you'll have for your charity. And I believe we all have a mission or a cause or a ministry that we want to get out there. And the biggest obstacle is money and time. And so that's why I created this. I created the program, and we are now the Genius Millionaire Academy is we named it the Movement Makers Mastermind. So it's really now we have a group of about 40 of us that are in the movement makers, and people who want to make an impact and start a movement and make a movement that matters, so that their business is greater than themselves, and that it really turns into a mission or a ministry and a movement. And how do you step up and be a leader? And it quite frankly, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, but it is for everyone, but it's not for everyone in the sense that it's scary to step up into your calling. That's why they call it your calling, because it's not called the volunteering or wanting, it's called the calling. Like, you have these gifts and you're called to share it even against your own will or desires. So there's things that I'm called to do that I don't like to do. I have to go get uncomfortable every single day and do things I don't want to do, but knowing that this is what I'm called to do. This is my greatest impact. It's kind of like, I have a huge amount of respect for non-entrepreneurs who go out and work, full-time or 2 or 3 jobs to support their children. They didn't say, I want to work three jobs to support my kids. They didn't say that, especially single moms out there, but that's their calling. That's their purpose. That's their mission, is to give their children a better life than they had, and so that they can be free. And so I think that's one of the key things is that most people, if all we do is, I think the secret is, if we choose to notice and recognize versus ignore the signs and the calling or the whispers and the things that we're told to do, if we can notice and recognize and acknowledge it, that's when we move into it. Because one of my past mentors, he wrote, I saw this today, was success is faith expressed through action. And so it's like, whatever we're called to do, when we act on it, that's what real success is. So
that's good.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. So faith, say that again. Faith is
success. Success is faith expressed through in action.
Nice. Success is faith expressed in action. I love that. Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, we're always taking action. We're always having to live into that faith, because like you said, it's very risk-taking to be an entrepreneur. And sometimes you have to, this is how I actually teach my clients. I say, you have a choice. You can either sit in your dirty diaper, which is comfortable, even though it's stinky and smelly, but it's comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Or we can get out of that dirty diaper to do something completely different that is just doesn't feel comfortable. And it's true in everything that we do as an entrepreneur, I think. And I know, I don't know about you, but I know for myself, there's been times where I drop back into that dirty diaper, I don't want to be there. So knowing that, it's much easier, I think, for me to put into practice the habits that I need to stay out of there. But on occasion, you're going to find, I think it's human nature to drop back into it.
Oh,
And that leads me
absolutely.
to the next question. How does being an entrepreneur affect not just you, but affect your marriage and your family at the same time? Kind of a personal question, but I'm really kind of hoping that we can see that people listening can see we're real people too. It doesn't matter how high up the ladder in corporate or in entrepreneurship and business that we get, we're still human.
Mm, mm. So could you repeat the question again so I could give you
Sure.
the proper answer?
Basically, like, how does entrepreneurship and getting into those uncomfortable situations and taking those risks, like, how does it affect your marriage sometimes, like in your family situation? Is there ever a time where it gets so uncomfortable for your family that it may cause some tension?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's people who that's the key difference is, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're married to a non-entrepreneur, the adversity to risk is huge. So what may feel like a calculated risk for you could seem like, oh my God, you're leaping off a cliff with no parachute. So I think it really does have a difference in it. And I think what I truly believe is that that the non-entrepreneur is here to help the entrepreneur to not risk too much at the expense of themselves, something a little too dangerous. So they won't let you go way off the deep end. So they're kind of like a checks and balance.
Right.
And as the entrepreneur, we're teaching this safety and security person to be able to let go of some of their need for control, because the truth is there's very little we can control on our lives. We can only control what's inside us, of what we think, what we feel, and what we do. Everything else is outside our control. But I think it's like we're here to show that they can have a little bit more faith and they can believe in different things. But there's been quite a few challenges, and it forces both parties to really look at the situation from more of an objective perspective versus an emotional perspective. And I think that's really important, is let's just see if we're as it is versus the emotions or our own beliefs or values, like saying, oh, well, because a lot of the beliefs and values we have, we didn't most people didn't consciously create. Someone planted that in us. So I think, and there are times where I think here's what's really important is there are times where you'll know, or ideally I pray that you'll know when you need to drop what you're doing in your business to be with your family. And there will be times where I encourage people to raise their awareness to where they need to let go of the people pleasing with their spouse or with their kids to focus on the mission at hand. Because if you are a breadwinner for your family, while you may want to go play with your kids or be with your spouse, that may not help get your primary roles of providing for the family done. So sometimes you have to look at the big picture. And when there are times where in the past where I would say, here, I love you, I need to focus on mission accomplished. This is my business partner. He's retired Marine, and in the Marine Corps, it talks about number one is mission accomplishment, and second is troop welfare, which is in business and in family. So you got your mission accomplishment, which is your objectives, and then your second is making sure your family's good. And because if you're an entrepreneur and you're the main moneymaker in your business, I think you have a family responsibility to take care of your family. Like while some entrepreneurs, and I've been guilty of this in the past, is they may use their family as an excuse or reason to play a little bit smaller, or to distract themselves from getting out of the dirty diapers and getting uncomfortable. It's like, oh, I could make these phone calls, or I could play with my daughter. Which is more enjoyable? I could I could do some email or admin work, or take a walk with my wife, and so it's really having a set of disciplines, and it's an ongoing thing. I wish I could say I totally mastered it, but I really do know if I totally mastered everything, I'd have results that are 10 times greater than where I am now. So I think it's really like, and learning not to compare yourself with others, but comparing yourself to where you can be the best ideal version of you. And I could say that, there's a lot of room for growth. So, and that's exciting.
It is exciting. And I think it's that way with all of us. I don't think there is one marriage expert that has ever actually mastered marriage, right?
Oh, yes.
and I honestly believe, if I'm totally alone in this, but I think that anybody who teaches anything about marriage, they teach it because that's what they need to know more than anything, right? So part of the teachings that we do is there's 5 specific secrets. I call them the 5 marriage secrets to keep your marriage on target. And I'm going to just say all 5 of them to you. And I want you to tell me which one of these is the most important to you, and maybe which one you think might be the most important to Chica, although that's probably not a fair question since she's not here. But the first one is to have a spiritual life, to love God. The second one is to take personal responsibility. The third one is to celebrate the victories. The fourth one is to be united in as many priorities and fronts as you can. And the fifth one is to show gentleness. So out of those 5, and I can repeat them again if you want, which one do you think is probably the most important one for you and your marriage?
Let me see here.
Do you want me to say them again?
No, I already know the answer. What it really is, the most important is taking personal responsibility. Taking responsibility for my actions, taking responsibility for the impact of the words I say or the actions. And because sometimes it's really important to really connect on a deep level, and also taking responsibility, apologizing. I had a conversation with my wife before, and it's like, here, I want to apologize because I realized, some of the things I was saying, I wasn't saying it with all of my heart. In terms of, it was kind of like it was a big aha, a few weeks ago. My heart, just intuitively, it felt like it was partially closed, and this happens a lot in, I think, relationships where I couldn't give. It wasn't open in a sense where I wanted to protect myself from being hurt or from being disappointed. So it was closed. So it couldn't. So to protect myself from more hurt or more disappointment. But then what I realized is it prevented the good stuff from coming in. So when my heart was closed, not only did it protect myself from the negative, but it actually blocked out the positive of feeling loved and feeling appreciated. And also when it blocked it out from my love and appreciation from coming out. And so I just had a hard conversation. It's like, here, I realized my heart was closed. And even though I was going through the motions and saying the right things, it didn't land or have the weight because my heart wasn't connected to those words. It was kind of like my body and my mind and my heart were disconnected. At the moment I really shared that, hey, I get it, I understand. That allowed me to become a more compassionate listener, because when I'm looking to solve a problem or so, I want to fix the problem, and I'm not paying attention as much to how people feel. But I realize how important it is, especially for my wife and also for people around me, to know that I understand how they feel as well, and to show a deeper level of empathy. But I think that's the biggest difference, is taking responsibility, because I think once you take personal responsibility, then the other party, whether it's your spouse or your child or your clients or people you're around, it shows that you understand, and you understand what they're going through. It's like you're kind of like, it really shows that you understand how they feel and what they've gone through, and where it may not even been in your awareness at all.
So I call the kryptonite of all marriage, of all disconnect, I call it this whole illusion of being totally just disconnected, but they become indifferent. And that's why the disconnect takes place. So to me, that's a huge destructor of marriages, of cities, of countries, of nations. I mean, seriously, when we become indifferent, that is our kryptonite. We become weak. Everything that we've built as far as a foundation now struggles and crumbles. I mean, and this is why I think God created the unity between a man and a woman, like you were saying, to be able to be strong, to keep that foundation strong, because you need each other. You need Chica to be able to keep you grounded, and she needs you to keep her grounded. It's funny because, and I don't know if you're like this, but I'm such a dreamer that I don't know that I keep my husband grounded necessarily as much as I get him to dream, right? Yeah. And he's grateful for that part, because it definitely is an important aspect to life. Without dreams and without goals, I think we tend to struggle because we need to feel challenged.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it really helps by being able to share your vision, because I think there are two types of people who are the visionaries, who have the ideas. And then the second type person is someone who'd like to enroll in the idea, because they're, they're not really thinking, they don't have their own vision and they want to be a part of something. And it's really interesting just how the dynamic is with me and my wife, and sometimes it is the ideas, and to show what's possible and to expand her awareness as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. Addie, you're doing such a good job up there. I know you're struggling.
Yeah, you're rocking. You're rocking. I mean, this is great.
She just keeps coming right back in. I love it.
I love it because it's so needed to be able to reach an audience that is oftentimes not ignored, but they don't. There isn't as much many resources, especially in social media. As well. So I love having this. So thank you for what you're doing, Adelaide. Really appreciate it.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm so grateful because I'm connected to a very large deaf community, and over, they've been saying, hey, I want to listen to your video. I want to be on your show or whatever, but I don't understand it because I can't hear, So that's why I invited her in. I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Let's do it. She's just been brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this. So, Eiji, can you tell us, where can people find more information about you? And before you do that, give us one final thought about how to blend entrepreneurship and marriage. Like, what's one final thought? Like, if somebody could do something in the next 30 days, what would that one thing in your mind be?
Well, I have an answer for that. And then, let's see. One thing that I want to share before that real quick is really celebrate the uniqueness in your spouse. That is often oftentimes early on in a relationship, we have pet peeves with our spouse, like looking at some imperfections or so. And what I realize is it's our imperfections that make us unique. And when they're off or gone for a little while, or what happens is, it's not the perfections that you miss, it's the imperfections that you miss. And so embrace the imperfections, let go of the judgments, and let go of that, because no one can change. Let go of the dream or hope that you could change someone. That's for sure. Love people unconditionally. As far as one thing that an entrepreneur can do with their marriage is, when I first started, I was pretty much go with the flow, and I still like to operate in the flow, but I run a very scheduled life now. So what you want to block in your calendar your business time for business, and your family time for family and stick with it. So you have date nights with your wife, you have family playtime, put it in your calendar, and don't, you got to set those boundaries. You got to set those boundaries around it, saying this is your family time. So if you're on a call and you're running, you have some calls or you have some appointments, and then let's say it's like 3:45, and then you have a 4 o'clock appointment with your family, then you could just say, hey, I got to get off the phone right now. My next appointment's coming up. And so it's really treat your family as like, and one of your most important clients, and treat yourself as one of your most important clients. Block time out for yourself for self-care. And so just like, scheduling massage or scheduling workout times, and just say, I have my next appointment, and it's an appointment with you, whether it's an appointment for you to pray, appointment for you to work out. I think that's one of the key things is for entrepreneurs is that it's funny, we get to set our own hours, but you'd be surprised how many people don't set their own hours. It's like they don't put in their calendar. It's like they're just saying, here, I'm 24 hours a day. It doesn't work. You need to have some on time, and you need to have some off time. And scheduling your vacations. So I think that's one of the key things that I would recommend is start using your calendar, and calendar yourself, calendar your family, calendar your business. And the real discipline is being able to stick with it, and then write down, if you don't stick with if you don't stick with an appointment, write down what reason or excuse you use to justify yourself out of it. Oftentimes, especially with self-care, they'll say, you know what, I didn't feel like it, or this was more important, and it's all a lie. It's all this mind stuff going on that tries to trick us. So be aware of the excuses that you give yourself of not sticking to your schedule.
Amen to that. Okay, so that was excellent. Thank you so much. And by the way, that you just basically said video 1 to the challenge.
Oh, excellent. Perfect.
Okay, so tell me the website that you want shared here, because it gives me an option to put that in. And we'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we run live events, and we have one coming up in May, but there's a place where you can opt in. So the core one is Speak, SPEAK, your, YOUR, genius, GENIUS.com. There should be a link there where you could opt in and put in your name and email and stay in contact with us through there. And also we have a live event that helps people craft their signature talk. And also friend me on Facebook, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/authority-genius. But if you just type in my name, go friend me on my personal, and then go to and make sure you like my fan page, and we could stay connected there.
All right, perfect. Well, for some reason it would not pull up the page. I don't know if I speakyourgenius.com, correct?
Yep. Oh, is this supposed to pull up the page? Maybe. Well, why don't we just do the Facebook page then, and go for facebook.com/authority.
You know what? I'm not sure that I can. Let me see if I close this out. What happens? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Okay.
Well, let me see. I could drop it in. Let me see if I could do it. Yep.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yay.
Let's see if it pops up. Heads up, drop-ins won't show in recordings, but we're working on it. All right. It's all good. So just Google or Facebook search me, and it's like I'm probably the only. There's a few Eijis out there, but you'll be able to hopefully remember my face, EIJI, and then Morishita, and then you'll be able to connect. So friend me on Facebook, and then I have 2 pages. Then I have my business page as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm definitely looking that up. So I just want to thank you very, very much for taking your time to come here. And please give your family my warmest regards. Tell them how much I appreciate them giving this time away from you so that you could be here. Yep. Addie, same with you. Thank you so much for doing this, for blessing people with, the deaf community with sign. I think it's just beautiful. I love it. Yes. And I really hope that you as the listener can connect with Eiji, connect with myself. If you want to learn how to create entrepreneurship, create greater business, and create greater relationships in your marriage, because the two blended can truly, truly work if you look at it as a covenant, as a blessing, instead of a contract that you can absolutely pull apart. So thank you so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your night. God bless.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.